Celsius. Außentemperatur 19,1 Grad Asphalttemperatur. Was Besseres kann eigentlich fast gar nicht passieren.
Wir sind jetzt also angesetzt an die Tatsache, dass wir nun also auf dem Wege sind, die Meisterschaft 2016 zu beschließen. Mit ihm hier eingebettet als Tabellenzweiten als den Jäger Daniel Kalwitz und Jules Gounod, die Meister des Jahres 2000, zumindest Daniel Kalwitz, der Meister des Jahres 2013. Er hat dort seinen ersten Titel eingefahren. Christopher Mies und Conor de Philippi.
Good afternoon and welcome to the Hockenheim circuit for the final race in the 2016 season of the ADAC GT Masters. And we could not have written the story any better as we go into race number 2 of the weekend, the final race of the season. The championship can still go the way of Conor de Philippi, Christopher Mies, Jules Gounod and Daniel Kalwitz, and also David Jahn. And the grid formation is phenomenal to play into that story. We have Martin Ragginger on pole position. Kevin Estre, who is teammate to David Jahn, is alongside. Then we go to the Big FM Porsche, which is going from P3 on the grid, which is driven by Marvin Dienst and Christopher Zanella. Before we find Christian Engelhardt, then it's Nikolai Rogevu, then it's Daniel Kalwitz and Christopher Mies, absolutely side by side. Oh, the story is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And wow, what a race we've got in prospect here, because those two will be fighting all the way to the checkered flag. Have no fear of that, because that is what matters when it comes to the championship positions come the end of the 60-minute race, which is about to get underway. We've got every possible permutation worked out in terms of who finishes where, who is going to take the championship. Boy, it's going to be an exciting race, that's for sure. You're very welcome to join us. 60 minutes of hot rock in action to come from the ADAC GT Masters, featuring, of course, that mandatory driver change pit stop to come between 25 and 35 minutes into the race. Race conditions today, very, very different to yesterday, where we had a rain shower, which really affected things. Today, it's all dry and doesn't look, whilst there's a bit of cloud around, there's absolutely no rain predicted at all. Race is scheduled to start in 7 minutes' time. So imagine the anxiety and the excitement that's going through the drivers as they sit down there on the grid, preparing to get this race underway. Daniel Kalwitz took the championship back in 2013 when he was driving alongside Diego Alesi. Daniel Kalwitz's teammate now, of course, is Jules Gounod. If you go back to 2012, Daniel Kalwitz actually came to this last round and lost the championship. So there we look at David Jahn and Kevin Estre, who go from P2 on the grid. They were successful in the race yesterday, taking P1. Then we see, going from P3 on the grid, Marvin Dienst and Christopher Zanella, who finished P3 in the race yesterday. Their qualifying took place this morning. It was a very good qualifying from Christian Engelhardt and Rolf Nijken, who put that Lamborghini Huracan GT3 P4 on the grid. And it's Christian Engelhardt that will be driving first in the stint this afternoon. Then we see the Mercedes-Benz of Nikolai Rogevu and Nikolai Sylvestre. The AMG Team Zach Speed car that's run, of course, by the team boss, Peter Zarkowski. So Sylvestre and Rogevu then, before we see the Callaway competition car of Jules Gounod and Daniel Kalwitz, starting from P6 on the grid, needing to go forward, and in any event, needing to get more points than Conor de Philippi and Christopher Mies. And there is the Montoplast by Audi number 29 car of Conor de Philippi and Christopher Mies. Christopher Mies drives in the first part, and the difference is 164 points for de Philippi and Mies, and it's 152 points for Kalvitz and Gunon, who are P2. There we see the Bentley of Daniel Abt and Jordan Lee Pepper. The Continental GT3, which is an awesome looking car. Absolutely love that Bentley Continental. Big crowd here to enjoy the race action about to come. And we are getting ever closer to the start of the race, the final race of the 2016 season. We've been to Oschersleben, to the Sachsenring, to the Lausitzring, Red Bull Ring, Nürburgring, Zandvoort, of course, last time out. And now, here for the grand finale, we are at Hockenheim. Turn number 1, turn number 2, and then the run up towards the hairpin off the back of the parabolic are going to be very, very interesting indeed. Look at the people that are crammed up onto the podium already. There is the driver's classification. 164 points, pays 152. So the cars are released now on their formation lap. As I said, the story has run all the way to the very last race of the season before the championship will be won. It's just the way we like it. We'll bring you the grid formation in full in just a moment as the cars scream past our particularly brave cameraman who kneels down there on track to see the cars all going past. There's our pole sitter, Martin Raginger, who just yesterday was in commentary alongside us for German TV. And that's because Robert Rennen was the first driver in the race yesterday in that Precoat Herbert Motorsports Porsche 911 GT3 R car. So cars weaving from side to side to try and generate some temperature into those tyres on this, the formation lap. And as promised, here comes the grid in full for you. Row 1, Robert Rennen, Martin Raginger. And it's David Yarn and Kevin Estra. It is row 1. Row 2 is Marvin Dienst and Christopher Zanella and Rolf van Eyck and Christian Engelhardt. The drivers' names in yellow are the starting drivers. Row 3 is Regevu and Daniel Kalvitz. Then we see Christopher Mies and Daniel Abt. It's the Audi versus Bentley on row 4. Then on row 5, it's Rahal Frey, former DTM star, of course, and Pierre Kaffer alongside Marco Holzer and Luca Ludwig. Luca Ludwig and Sebastian Asch, the outgoing champions. Row 7 is Sven Bart and Jaap van Lagen. Row 8, we find Bas Schotthorst and Emanuele Zonzini. Marco Gasner and Andre Gies, with Stefan Eltelli drafted into the Monteplast Audi on row 10. Then it's Dominic Schweger and Maron then on row 11. Martin Tomczyk, DTM star, of course, in on row 12. Christy Jons also there, and bringing up the rear, it's Elia Earhart. And quality this morning, Christy Jons had an off, incidentally, in his Bentley. And with 5 minutes left, it was Kalvitz P1 and Mies P3. Well, in those final few moments of the qualifying session, Martin Raginger, Kevin Estra and Zanelli and Engelhardt all posting faster lap times, hence why they are where they are on the grid. Okay, they're rounding the Sachs curve now and heading towards the final 2 turns here on the Hockenheim circuit. The Sud curve. The safety car should peel off, and then it will be down to the Porsche front row, which we go on board with now with Kevin Estra. They will be controlling the rolling lap all the way to the green flag, and the race will be underway. So safety car peels off. Here we go, final race for 2016 in the GT Masters. Raginger versus Estra going into turn number 1. The cars light up as they head towards the lighting gantry, which is atop your screen right now. Let's go green and let's go racing. The final race as Raginger gets a fantastic start into turn number 1 and denies Kevin Estra any opportunity to go around the outside in turn number 1. They all make their way cleanly through turn number 1, which is always the case, I can tell you. And now, side by side, Estra and Raginger then, as they battle for this P1 position. At the moment, Raginger has it. There's a bit of panel rubbing going on right at the back of the pack as they all head around the parabolica now, heading towards that hairpin. Kalvitz ahead of Mies at the moment. So we're on board with Kevin Estra, heavy braking. Christian Engelhardt just taking a look at the outside of the Big FM Porsche ahead of him. Rolf and Eichen driving that Lamborghini Huracan, which is currently running in P4, trying to wrestle away that P3 position. Has not been able to do that at the moment. Start is under investigation according to our message screen. So whether someone was out of place. The inside there of the Luca Ludwig car was the RWT Racing Corvette. Being driven by Sven Bart. So the lead then is with Martin Ragginger. P2 is Kevin Estre, then it's Zanella, who is really under pressure now from the Lamborghini Huracan. As a little bit more debris from the cars is cast aside. So around the Sud Curve then to complete the lap. It's Martin Ragginger leading from Kevin Estre, then it's Zanelli is P3, but he's really being hounded by Christian Engelhardt, and Daniel Karlwitz, who we are on board with now, is hounding in turn the Christian Engelhardt Lamborghini Huracan. Let's stay on board with Daniel Karlwitz. Damage there to the Bentley. So up the inside of the P3 Porsche goes Christian Engelhardt. So Engelhardt makes that position up, and going for a move now is Daniel Karlwitz as well. Side by side around the Parabolica. As they head up towards the hairpin, Daniel Karlwitz with much more momentum, but Zanelli has got the inside line and is able to deny. But if Karlwitz gets good exit now, Karlwitz once again right alongside. In fact, Karlwitz now goes ahead. So Karlwitz is up into P4, up into P3 is Christian Engelhardt. And there is Christopher Mies, who's mired down there at the moment with the Mercedes-Benz of Rogevu ahead of him. And then ahead of him, of course, is the Porsche now of Zanelli, who's dropped back a place following that overtake from Christian Engelhardt and also Daniel Karlwitz. Here's a replay of the start then. So, as I mentioned, the start under investigation. And this was the view from the Karlwitz car. The Callaway Competition Corvette. Is the title going to go the way of Callaway? Is it going to go the way of the Monoplast by Audi Land Motorsport car of Christopher Mies that we're on board with now? So this in replay. As Christopher Mies to the outside there around the hairpin and being hung out to dry by the Rogevu car ahead. So we're back to the live race action then, and the Porsches of Ragginger and Estre just beginning to ease out a gap over Christian Engelhardt by some couple of seconds. As a little bit further down the order, Rahul Frey battling hard with Daniel Abt. So Rahul Frey just taking a look at the inside. Around the outside is the Sven Bart number 13 Corvette. Team run by Gerd Beisel. So off the back of the hairpin. And there you can see the tension inside the garages as well with the other drivers. Jules Gounon, Daniel Karlwitz. We're on board with Daniel Karlwitz, who's making good progress. He has next in his target sights the Lamborghini Huracan. At the moment then, look at this prediction. Just 6 points between them. Connor De Filippi and Christopher Mies and Daniel Karlwitz and Jules Gounon. Well, Karlwitz can do no more than go forward. But of course, Christopher Mies and Connor De Filippi running in P7 at the moment would still give them enough to take the championship title. Of course, to add into the drama is the mandatory pit stop to come between 25 and 35 minutes into the race. And it's the race being led by Robert Ragginger, currently in the Porsche of Precoat Herbert Motorsport in P1. And they're down into the garages. Once again, you can just see the tension that is mounting. Being told now that after the investigation that the start was deemed to be satisfactory, so nothing is untoward there. Right, the back of the cars then, through the hairpin they go, and there you can see the RWT Racing Corvette right on the back of the Rahal Frey Audi. They're currently running, the Audi is running in P10 at the moment, and Sven Bart is running in P11. Pierre Kaffer teaming up with Michaela Allen Konolinski is running in P12, and then outgoing champions, if you like, are running in P13 at the moment in the shape of Luca Ludwig. So they're the P5 car of Christopher Zanelli, being hounded by Nikolai Rogevu, and Christopher Mies then, who is running in P7. Daniel Karvitz to Christopher Mies. The gap from P4 to P7, as you can see, is some 3.6 seconds, but actually the time difference is irrelevant. It's the points haul that matters, and at the moment Mies is doing enough. Conor De Filippi, of course, will be the second driver into that Audi. And Daniel Karvitz really needs to reel in the Lamborghini Huracan of Christian Engelhardt and move up another place. But at the moment, Engelhardt doing a good job and not being threatened currently by Daniel Karvitz. There you can see the Karvitz car. Those four have really broken away from the next pack, which is led by Christopher Zanelli at the moment. And he's being hounded by the Mercedes here. And I just wonder whether Christopher Mies is just playing a sensible game here and letting those two fight together. So that if they should come together, he is going to be able to take advantage of that. Of course, he doesn't want to get involved in any severe overtake and accident problem that would take him out of the points haul, that's for sure. So in a very, very difficult position there as the Corvette once again just takes a look at the Audi of Rahal Frey going into the hairpin. We're on board with Christopher Mies coming out of the hairpin momentarily. The rest of the cars come through. Raginger with some 7/10 over Kevin Estre at the front of the pack, as that Sven Bart car is all over the back of Rahal Frey, looking for that final points-paying position. There is Christopher Mies running in P7 with the Mercedes-Benz of Nikolai Rogevu ahead. And holding station in P5 is Christopher Zanella in the Porsche number 36, supported by the Big FM brand that you can see all over the car. There is the Montoplast Audi then of championship leader Christopher Mies, who, if it stays this way, when we get to the checkered flag, Christopher Mies will have done enough. As I have mentioned, we do still have that pit window to throw into the drama also. Karvitz then not able to make an impression on Christian Engelhardt. In fact, he's some 9/10 down as Christopher Mies turns the wick up now on the Nikolai Rogevu Mercedes-Benz ahead. It's Audi versus Mercedes-Benz as they head round to the Parabolica now. So we split the screen so that you can see the Mies car on track, and you can also see what it's like from inside the car as they start to brake now. So Rogevu on the inside, but is carrying too much speed. That's never going to work. So Christopher Mies, just by sitting back, could benefit from an additional place gained without really having to try too hard for the overtake. They're side by side, but Rogevu just gets his nose in front. And of course, whilst all this is going on, he's got to be aware of the fact that he's got Daniel Abt and Marco Holzer sitting right behind as Christopher Mies. So, you know, the Bentleys there are lining up, ready to have a go should the opportunity present itself. So this is fascinating stuff. We're just about 10 minutes into the hour-long race, which is led by Martin Raginger, and in P2 it is Kevin Estre, both of them in Porsches. It's the Audi of the championship leader that we're looking at now, which is currently running down there in P7. It was very nearly P6, but wasn't to be. Rahal Frey is taking a look at the Marco Holzer car ahead. And here in replay, now, Rogevu was just carrying too much speed here, was never going to be able to scrub that speed off. So Zanella up the inside, so too going up the inside was Christopher Mies, but unfortunately didn't have quite the momentum because whilst in the inside for the next turn, it was going to be the outside for the next one, which was where he was able to save the place back. Right, under severe pressure now is Kevin Estre. As we look back at the Christian Engelhardt Lamborghini Huracan, which of course is run by the GRT Grasser Racing team, on board with Kevin Estre then, who's certainly keeping with Martin Ragginger. There's 8 tenths between the two of them for P1 and P2, and then just 4 tenths between Kevin Estre and Christian Engelhardt, who is running in P3. Here in replay is just how close Christian Engelhardt got to the Porsche of Kevin Estre ahead. No touch, but very, very close indeed. So around the Sachs curve they go, heading in towards the final 2 turns. And this in replay then from the Christopher Mies car was the Rogevu on the inside of the Porsche, which we didn't see that live, so that in replay is a place change. And now is escaping up the road, having got past the Porsche, which is now in P6. And here comes Christopher Mies to have a go now. Mies knows that he needs to bank as many points as possible. There he is, right on the inside of the Porsche now, but that gives him the outside for the next turn. So the Schützer Porsche ahead. As they onto the Parabolica now, Christopher Mies definitely going to have a go into the hairpin. Have no fear of that as they round the Parabolica now, heading up towards that real pinch point, the hairpin, and ready to take advantage as well is Daniel Abt, who's just standing by to pick up any pieces. So Mies then, and it have to be said that Zanelli put that car exactly where he needed to defend that position. So that was looking back at the Daniel Abt Bentley, which we see the all-yellow car run, of course, by Bentley Team Abt, the Bentley Continental GT3. What a mammoth car that is. Absolutely superb-looking car. Well, Sven Bart has managed to get ahead of Rahal Frey. So Sven Bart in the RWT Racing Corvette is now running in P10. And Rahal Frey is relegated to P11 as we look at Connor Di Filippi to the left-hand side of the screen then. Looking on, the gap to Karvitz to Mies now is some 10 seconds. So here you can see Christopher Mies really hounding the number 6 Porsche ahead of Christopher Zanella. So in that number 36 car, Christopher Zanella then really having to make that as wide as possible, trying to deny Christopher Mies currently. Just look at the pace of Rogevu, who's up the road now. The Porsche is acting like a cork in the bottle, really, here, because they're stacking up and queuing up behind. This could all end in a glittering array of car parts strewn all over the track if we're not careful, because undoubtedly the Big FM Porsche is holding the rest. There's a huge train of cars as they head up towards the hairpin, but has got just enough pace to be able to deny all of them. Sven Bart is looking very, very lively in the RWT Racing Corvette as well, currently just into the points in P10 in the two-colour blue Corvette of RWT Racing. In the meantime, at the back of this pack, of course, is the Corvette run for Daniel Karvitz. Charming, as we get a view of lavatory break for one of the drivers just ahead of getting into the car. A little way from the pit window opening yet. So there is the number 5 car of Rogevu, who's really escaped up the road once he's been released from that, but he's got a lot of time to make up to get onto the back of the pack, which is being led by Ragginger. Then it's Estre, Engelhardt, Karvitz, and Rogevu then is crosses the timing line now. Oof. Margin is huge, 9 seconds. So there is Karvitz, who's still behind the Lamborghini Huracan. Christian Engelhardt doing a good job in terms of defending from that Corvette CO7 then. Carvet's closer now to Engelhardt. Engelhardt with huge experience of this Hockenheim circuit. Carvet's to the outside. He'll try potentially for the switchback here, but Engelhardt knows exactly where to put that car to deny him. So good defensive driving from Christian Engelhardt, which denies Daniel Carvet's the opportunity to move forward. In the meantime, Rahul Frey then under some pressure from Pierre Caffer for P11. We're on board with Christopher Mies, who's still tucked up behind that Porsche and cannot seem to find a way past, despite really valiant efforts on occasions. And just look how the front four have broken away before we see the Mercedes-Benz there of Nikolai Rogevu that's running in P5, and then the P6 car of Zanella. Then it is Christopher Mies, Daniel Abt, Marco Holzer, Sven Bart, and Rahul Frey just out of the points in P11, being hounded by Pierre Caffer, who is running equally in an Audi, but in P12. 43 minutes left on the clock. So we're about 8 minutes away from the pit window opening, when the mandatory driver change pit stops happen. So the pace has just picked up a little bit by the Zanella car, 141.979. Now the first four cars, they're all lapping in the 140s. And the fastest of them all is Engelhardt, a 143.95 last time around. But now, once again, Daniel Carvetz turns the wick up as they head again to the hairpin. Christian Engelhardt with a masterclass of where to put that Lamborghini to deny the Corvette, and he does it all over again. So, despite Carvetz's best efforts, he's not able to get past. Christopher Mies just take a sneaky look at the inside of the Schutzer Porsche. Now, he floors it, but the Porsche has got a better traction seemingly out of that hairpin, which again denies Christopher Mies the opportunity to move from P7 to P6. So into the next sequence of turns, the left-hander first of all, which then sweeps round before turning right. And we're on board with Christopher Mies. And the cars just enter what is the drag strip here at Hockenheim before turning into the stadium section, using the runoff area, and then into the Sachs curve here as Christopher Mies takes a wider outside line in the hope of trying to get up the inside, but wasn't really close enough to be able to do so. And there you can see the difference between the lap times between Zanella and Christopher Mies over the last 3 laps. And Mies, with the exception of 1 lap, quicker. Nice photo of Christopher Mies and the cars then in the left-hand side split screen as Connor De Filippi, with crash helmet on, is ready to jump into the car. Just looked like the back of the picture there. Rahul Frey coming back at Sven Bart. Yes, indeed so. There is Rahul Frey. And there is Sven Bart, and behind them both is Pierre Caffer in the purple and black Audi. Look at this, so these two go fighting, heading towards the hairpin now. Not much between them. Rahul Frey to the inside now. Can she scrub the speed off? Runs the Corvette out a little bit wide. That allows Pierre Caffer to get ever closer, but has to dive in behind. And now Christopher Mies once again right on the back of the Porsche of Christopher Zanella, which is running in P6. Christopher Mies running in P7 there. The gap from Carvetz to Christopher Mies, some 13.8 seconds, as we're just on 5 minutes away from the pit window opening for the mandatory driver change then, and that's why we saw Connor De Filippi ready to dive into the car. What will the strategy be by the teams? Because you can come in at any time during that 10-minute window. I would think that Carvetz will be one of the first in because he's unable to get ahead of the Lamborghini. So will come in early on, I would have suggested. Christopher Mies all over the back of the Porsche continually, but Still not able to find a way around. So Mies close again now. Dives to the inside. Just really trying to unsettle Christopher Zanella ahead, but he's not for unsettling at the moment. Has not made a mistake. And has driven all perfectly. We split the screen so you can see Connor De Filippi standing by to jump into the car. As Christopher Mies tracks the Porsche all the way up to the hairpin now. Heavy braking. The Porsche brakes very well. No lock-up at all. In the meantime, Kravitz and Engelhardt are together now. Just 2.5 minutes before the pit window opens. Kravitz is really having a go now. Denied once again by Christian Engelhardt. Engelhardt just looking a little bit raggy on the exit of that turn because he is being pressured now by Daniel Kravitz, who's trying to move up another place. Of course, every single place is so important to Daniel Kravitz. We gave you the championship prediction, the way the cars were just a few moments ago. It would all change if Kravitz was able to move up another place. Don't think it would be quite enough because of where Christopher Mies is on track at the moment, but this was his effort. First of all, he sold Christian Engelhardt a little bit of a dummy by going to the outside, but then Christian Engelhardt firmly shutting the door. So Engelhardt in the final podium place at the moment for P3. He'll be replaced by Rolf Nijken, who will be taking over the drive for the second stint in the race as Kravitz now reels in that Lamborghini Huracan, which has got phenomenal power around the parabolica here. Look at this, right in the slipstream now. Kravitz dives to the outside and will now try and go for the switchback to go inside, but Christian Engelhardt, carrying brilliant speed through there, was able to deny him once again. Kevin Estre just taking a look at Martin Ragginger as well, so we stay on board with Daniel Kravitz. Again to the outside, and then tries to go for the inside now, but Engelhardt makes the back end of that Lamborghini Huracan as wide as he possibly can to deny Daniel Kravitz. Of course, Engelhardt and Nijken want to finish as high up the order as they can whilst they're not in the championship standings. Still want a podium out of this final race to finish on an absolute high for the season 2016. So Kravitz again around the Sachs curve takes a completely different line. Here is the driver classification then. There's going to be 6 points in it if they stay the way they are. And it will be 6 points to the benefit of Connor De Filippi and Christopher Mies, who will take the championship title if it stays the way it is currently. And there's still 36 minutes of the race to do. And we are 1 minute and 10 seconds away or thereabouts from the pit window opening for the mandatory driver changes to start. So still running in P3 then, the Lamborghini. With part of the split-up flapping about at the front. I don't think that's hampering the performance of the car. It just looks a little untidy. I don't think it's having any effect, to be fair. Or if it is, Engelhardt is certainly able to drive through it without a problem. Estre, as I mentioned just a few moments ago, oh, the back end of the car looked a bit skittish as Estre, just with a little bit of a lock-up going into the hairpin. Here's Kravitz once again. This is yet another try at getting past Christian Engelhardt. They are virtually welded together. The order on the left-hand side of the screen for you. And there you can see Jules Gounon then, who's standing by to jump into the car. And I think that they will pit early on because he's been stuck behind this Lamborghini and despite huge efforts has not been able to find a way past. So I think that they will come in because the pit window opens now. There you go, confirmation of that on the screen. Now, of course, what would be a disaster for them is if Christian Engelhardt decided to pit at exactly the same time. Let's keep an eye on this. Yeah, sure enough, exactly as I predicted then. Daniel Kravitz comes in the Corvette. So for Callaway competition then, slows, brakes to the mandatory pit lane speed limit. And Jules Gounon standing by to get into the car. So Engelhardt has stayed out. Karvitz and the Callaway competition team deciding to pit him as early as possible. They do that. Here's Jules Gounon then around the outside of the car to jump in. Valiant effort by Daniel Karvitz to do all that he could to try and get past the Lamborghini Huracan, but it wasn't to be. This is Luca Ludwig then, the outgoing champion, as he comes into the pit lane now and stops outside the garages, of course, maintained by AMG team Zach Speed, Peter Sarkowski's team. So Karvitz out of the car, Jules Gounon in the car now. Tyre pressure's just being adjusted, one of the few things that they're allowed to do during the mandatory pit stop. The car lights up again, await the okay from the engineer responsible for timekeeping. Revs rise, and out goes the car, now driven by Jules Gounon. So what is going to be absolutely critical for Jules Gounon is to find out when, or to ascertain the time it takes. And there's Daniel Karvitz then out of the car. Here's Christopher Mies. It's Connor De Filippi that will be jumping into that car. As I was saying, what's going to be absolutely crucial to the Callaway competition Corvette is, of course, when Kevin Estre decides to pit and Rolf van Eycken takes over. Oh, that is a disaster! That is an absolute disaster for Christopher Mies. Leading the championship and has gone off the track. So Christopher Mies, I think that was just an error. Decides to pit straight away. This could change the shape of the championship. The Daniel Abt to Jordan Lee Pepper car is under investigation. But there is Christopher Mies then, and Connor De Filippi standing by to get in the car, but there was an error. We'll see a replay of that, I'm sure. And the other Motoplast car comes in. Here it is. So just ran to the outside of the circuit, look, and into the gravel, costing valuable time, throwing loads of stones into the underneath of that car. I mean, thankfully had the presence of mind to keep the momentum on so it could come back out onto the track, but passed by a number of cars, including Dominic Schwager. And there is Connor De Filippi, who cannot believe what he's seeing. Here it is from on board the Christopher Mies car. What a nightmare. And that just looked like a genuine error. It was just to the outside. Well, Connor De Filippi back out in the car now. Wow. We're on board with Sebastian Ash in the AMG team Zach Speed car. Well, there is Christopher Mies. Look, he knows the error that he's made, and he cannot believe it. Here it is in replay again. Oh, and watching that replay is just too much for him. Now, Daniel Karvitz there, whose drive has been taken over, of course, by Jules Gounon. Here is Jules Gounon we're on board with right now. Whilst all that's going on, there's a drive-through penalty for car number 7, which is the Daniel Abt Jordan Lee Pepper car. You'll forgive me, violation of Article 39.2, so it was either short-cutting the pit window by not being enough time, or perhaps running through the pit lane too fast. Truth, don't have time to look at Article 39.2 because there's so much else going on. Right. Pit window stays open for another 4.5 minutes. And in comes Kevin Estre. So it'll be David Yarn then who will take over driving duties of this KUS Team 75 Bernhard car. Just cannot believe the drama that's unfolding in this final ADAC GT Masters race of the season. Right, there is Jules Gounon. What we're doing is splitting the window here so that you can see where they are relative to when they come back out onto the track. So Jules Gounon now taking the curves, is into the Sachs curve, and now that's where Jules Gounon taking every single inch of the tarmac that he can. And out now goes the Porsche. Gounon now onto the start-finish straight. And David Yarn then out of the pit lane. Jules Gounon only now going into turn number 1. So what it does mean is that the effective race lead is now with David Yarn rather than Robert Renauer. And there you can see the two Porsches. They're currently running P8, P9 with Jules Gounon. And in comes the Lamborghini Huracan. Now this one is going to be critical as well. It's Rolf Nijken that will be getting into the car. And getting out of the car, of course, Christian Engelhardt, who's done a fine job. There's Daniel Karvitz, who looks on. Jules Gounon can do nothing but just push that car as hard as he possibly can for the remaining 27 minutes. So once the final 2 minutes of the pit window done and dusted, because at the moment Jules Gounon being shown as of course being in P10, but that's irrelevant really in comparison to the others that haven't pitted yet. So out comes the Lamborghini now, and where is the Lamborghini Huracan going to come out? My prediction is between the Porsche and the Corvette. Absolutely so. So that will effectively mean that Jules Gounon has P4. And it's as we were really before the pit windows, with the exception that the Porsches have inverted their places, although Robert Renauer trying to get that back right now. So there is Daniel Karvitz, who's focused, of course, on the screens and the feed that he can see. It's Rolf Nijken who is running in P3. Two Porsches having their own battle, P1 and P2. Is up the inside of David Yarn. No, not quite. And there is Christopher Mies, still utterly, almost inconsolable with the error that he made just prior to pitting. Conor De Filippi, who's back out in the car, actually running down there in what will be P11, I think, once everyone has done their pit window. So this is all really playing into the hands of that car. Daniel Karvitz, champion in 2013, of course, with Diego Alesi. It was 2012 when he came here and lost the championship. Car number 17 gets a drive-through penalty. So a drive-through penalty for car number 17. That's the David Yarn, Kevin Estre car. So now that means that the Corvette is elevated a further place. Will now be in a podium place. So the drive-through penalty for car number 17 due to violation of Article 39.1, which is time in the pit lane. Pit window is now closed. So David Yarn is leading the race at the moment, but it's only academic because a drive-through penalty has got to be served by that car. So that elevates Jules Gounon into P3 without even having to take the Lamborghini. Now, what the team need to do is be telling Jules Gounon, just, you know, don't do anything crazy here, because the position we're in at the moment, with the drive-through to come from the Porsche ahead, and where Connor De Filippi is out on track, we'll get a championship prediction. My goodness me, the drama could not get any greater. Jules Gounon is out. My goodness, Daniel Kravitz cannot believe it, nor can Christopher Mies. Whoa! The car is out, the safety car has been called for. Jules Gounon has binned it. The Callaway Competition Corvette, which was a shoe-in for the championship. It was only a few moments ago, I said it was 2012, that Daniel Kravitz came here and lost the championship. It looks like, well, there's no question, it's lost now because the car is out of the race. So the safety car is out. I'll tell you what, if you were writing a novel, you couldn't have written any more drama into this, could you? There's the drive-through penalty for David Yarn. Oh, please let me see a replay of that, because we just caught the tail end of the car going into the barriers. The number 77 Corvette is out. Well, Christopher Mies looks on and, oh, you have to feel for Daniel Kravitz. Well, of course, through it all, we hope that Jules Gounon is okay. The medical team are down there. Pretty sure I saw a wheel coming off the car at the back as well. It's a huge impact. Well, what that has done, it's completely changed, for the second time, I think now, the face of this championship. So medical team down there attending to Jules Gounon. And there Daniel Kravitz looks on with anxiety. So cars then being taken around by the safety car, which has been deployed because of this incident, which has seen the Jules Gounon car into the barriers there. It was a really curious place where that happened as well. So Daniel Kravitz walks away. And Jules Gounon then being attended to down there by the medical team. The safety car has picked the cars up. The race now being led by Robert Renauer, of course, because David Yarn had to take a drive-through penalty. Christian Engelhardt, P2, and in fairness, we've got a red flag now. We have a red flag as medical teams are continuing to attend to David Yarn. So red flag, race is going to be suspended with 20 minutes and 59 seconds on the clock. So the situation then with Jules Gounon and the medical team deciding that the extrication of him from that car means that it's not even right to have the cars rolling behind the safety car. The ambulance is down there. And the race has been suspended, therefore. Okay, here is the incident then. So there was a touch. There was a touch on the back end of the Rolf van Eycken Lamborghini. Ooh, and that was a huge impact, and that was a driver side impact as well. So there, I thought I saw a wheel rolling off the car. He did. Here we can see it from on board the Jules Gounon car then. Just coming into the arena section. There's the touch, and that's where the car just got completely out of shape, and then pirouetting and spinning and heading towards the barriers. And That was driver side on, so our very, very best wishes to Jules Gounon down there. The championship is completely and totally academic to the driver's well-being, and we wish Jules Gounon well. Top medical team down there looking after him at the moment, and Christopher Mies, there you can see in the pit box of Land Motorsport. Cannot believe it. Just how much more drama can be thrown at this ADAC GT Masters race. That was a huge impact. So team down there working hard to extricate Jules Gounon from that car. There's Land Motorsport. Right, Rennen Engelhardt and David Yarn and everyone else has all parked up. Have all parked up on the grid, and all the thoughts of every driver, of course, will be to the Jules Gounon. And there you can see doors being taken off the car so that Jules can be got out of the car. So it was just a touch between Jules Gounon and the Lamborghini that caused the car to get completely out of shape and was spinning and spun at very, very high speed into the barriers, driver side on. Of course, when the car was on the grass, there's no scrubbing the speed. And you can see from the replay that we're able to bring you. Here it is again. There's the touch, and just the back end of the car steps out, so the car spins, and then is completely in. Now, of course, the barrier is protected there by tyres, but the impact was such that the side of that car is absolutely destroyed. So everyone looks on anxiously, of course, concerned for the well-being of Jules Gounon, the driver, and as I say, the actual consequences of the championship completely and totally academic now in comparison to wanting the very, very best for Jules Gounon, the teammate of Daniel Karvitz, and you can quite understand why Daniel looked so very anxious as he was looking at the screens there as the team working very hard to get Jules Gounon out of the car. The race has been red flagged as a consequence, quite rightly, and the clock continues to tick down. But actually, all of it is, as I say, almost completely irrelevant because all of us are concerned for Jules Gounon in that car. So an innocent touch on the Rothenaiken car. And that is under investigation, incidentally, by race control, but of course the Jules Gounon car up against the barriers. Here it is. So to be fair, Rothenaiken just got a little bit out of shape, and I wonder whether it was at that point that Gounon just made the contact, but the contact was just enough for the back end of the car to let go, and was then absolutely flying across the grass into the barriers. So here in motorsport, then, we owe a great deal to the medical teams and the marshals who are called upon to work in situations like these, and Jules Gounon will be in the best possible hands in terms of the people down there working straight away to get Jules Gounon out of the car, but in a safe and non-threatening way. Concern down there, of course, in each and every one of the garages, and whilst, of course, we went into this race knowing that the championship would be won at the end of it, the dramas that have unfolded during the course of the 60-minute race, including Christopher Mies there, who put his car out onto the gravel just before coming in to let Connor De Filippi take over the driving duties. Well, we certainly wouldn't have predicted that situation with the Callaway Competition Corvette. So all focus then on making sure that Jules Gounon is as well as can be when he's got out from that car. Clock continues to count down. 14.5 minutes of race duration remaining. It's a packed schedule here at Hockenheim this weekend as we look at Sebastian Asch, son, of course, of Roland Asch, who's in the Team Zakspeed Mercedes-Benz, who Sebastian Asch and Luca Ludwig, of course, outgoing champions, ADAC GT Masters champions last year. And there is the David Jahn KUS Team 75 Bernhard Porsche, which was driven in the first stint by Kevin Estra. Big crowd here at the Hockenheimring for this, the final event of the 2016 season. And the event that has been somewhat marred by that really rather horrible looking crash into the barriers of Jules Gounon, which none of us, of course, want to see. And again, very, very best wishes to Jules Gounon as the safety team are working hard to get him out of the car. And you'll understand completely why we let the safety crews get on with that job and get on with that work, as there you can see they are continuing to do so. And making sure that he's got out in the safest possible way without causing further injury. Awful, awful, awful. So, top team down there working as hard as they can for Jules Gounon, and we can see precisely why Daniel Karwitz looked so anxious, because it was not until we saw the replays that we realised quite the impact that had going into the barriers. And it was a touch between that car and the Karwitz and Gounon car that just sent Jules Gounon just out of shape. And once the car was pirouetting, there was no scrubbing the speed off at all. So, clock continues to count down, and there all the teams assembled on the grid, and quite rightly the race suspended, red flagged. Now, the point of impact, as we saw from the replay, was driver's side on into the tyre barriers, but it was just the sheer pace with which it went completely sideways into those barriers. The Precoat Porsche then that we can see, and right alongside is the Lamborghini Huracan of Christian Engelhardt and Rolf van Nijken. Both Christian Engelhardt and Rolf van Nijken, of course, former Carrera Cup racers. Well, Christian Engelhardt still so. Rolf van Nijken, most recently in the B category of the German Carrera Cup for gentlemen drivers. But he and Christian Engelhardt have been a fairly formidable combination in the Lamborghini Huracan from Grasser Racing Team this year. Gaffer tape being applied to the front end of the car. No such necessities for the Precoat Porsche there of Robert Renault and Martin Raginger. So 10 minutes of race duration left. And I have to say, the way things look at the moment, I wonder whether we will get any more racing laps in, because even when Jules is out of the car and is whisked away to receive further medical attention, the car's got to be recovered, which perhaps wouldn't take that long, but the tyre barrier is going to have to be replaced as well. So going into this, the battle then was between Christopher Mies and Connor De Filippi, and that Corvette of Jules Gounon and Daniel Karvitz in terms of the championship points. Never did we think it would end in quite such a horrible fashion as this. So there are discussions going on in the number 17 car between David Yarn and Kevin Estra. So no further messages on our message screen with regards to the situation. Here we can see it once again. And that was the horrible point of impact. The force of which was such, and Jules Gounon is out of the car and being carefully stretchered away, and he will receive first-class medical attention, of course, and all our best wishes are to Jules Gounon. So the medical team taking great care of him. Of course, here at Hockenheim, fantastic medical centre, fantastic medical team, as Jules will be taken away now to the medical centre to be attended to straight away, of course. And the medical team doing a fantastic job in terms of getting him out of the car, but getting him out of the car in a safe way, as concern across all the garages, of course, for his well-being. Connor De Filippi then in the Audi sits there, doubtless awaiting news as well. Saw Wolfgang Land just a couple of moments ago in the Land Motorsport garage. So the Motoplast by Land Motorsport Audi of Connor De Filippi, who is in the driving seat at the moment, and there you can see the Jules Gounon and Daniel Karvitz car, which is about to be lifted off. Now, the integrity of these cars is remarkable, but such an impact. Off the back of the hairpin. And going into the next turns, that's where the touch happened. There's Martin Tomczyk, of course, who has been into the BMW for this weekend. Not the first time, he's out in the opening weekend as well, but he was driving with Jesse Krohn. And Martin Tomczyk, incidentally, announcing his retirement from DTM from the end of this season, preferring to head off and do various GT competitions, and we wish Martin Tomczyk very, very well. Jesse Krohn was in P12, incidentally, in this second race. And yesterday, the BMW of them finished the race in P12 for Jesse Krohn and Martin Tomczyk in that Schubert Motorsport BMW M6 GT3 car. So the tyres being replaced to the barrier there. And the Jules Gounon, Daniel Carvett's car about to be put onto the low loader. Jules Gounon already on his way to the medical centre to be cared for. And as I was saying, as the clock continues to count down, we have but 4 minutes left on the clock, and really rather fear that this race will be declared because of the sheer time it will take for this recovery operation, which quite clearly could not happen until Jules Gounon had been properly looked after, which indeed he has. It is a tight schedule here at Hockenheim this weekend. And there, first of all, we can see the damage to the side of that car. Absolutely destroyed. But crucially, as we look at it, just looking at the bottom bars there, which of course protect the driver, and looks like they remain absolutely in fine order. Nonetheless, just the sheer impact of that was really rather frightening. So once again, our very, very best wishes to Jules Gounon. So the car put down onto the low loader then. And that will be, of course, taken away. And I rather suspect that that car will not race again. Kevin Estra there at the KUS Team 75 Bernhard car. So the grid down there, the cars. And the car there of Jules Gounon being taken away. So red flag out then. And awaiting further messages on our message screen here. It is the ADAC GT Masters and the final race of the season. which has been marred, sadly, by a nasty accident involving Jules Gounon, who just tagged the back end of the Lamborghini Huracan of Rolf Nijken. The car then completely out of shape. Into turn number 7 and collided with the barriers at turn number 7. And it was complete driver side on, where the car went into the barriers, and we've seen the car taken away. The clock has now been stopped at with 3 minutes remaining, or 3 minutes and 6 seconds remaining. The final race of the ADAC GT Masters for 2016, of course, the championship up for grabs, and the Jules Gounon Daniel Kvyat's Corvette was in championship contention at that point. And here it is again. You can see the car getting out of shape, and it was absolutely full impact there, as you can see, into the tyre barriers there. Following what looked like this was the just a little tag, and I can just get sideways a little bit, and then Gounon then, it's just a matter of being completely unable to scrub the speed off there. The car completely out of shape, and then it is absolutely full impact into the barriers, and there you can see Daniel Kvyat cannot believe it. Initial concern, of course, only concern, of course, is for the well-being of Jules Gounon. To heck with the championship. So the barriers are being replaced at the moment. And once the barrier is back in position, the tyres will have to be pushed back in front of the barrier. And there the number 29 car of Connor De Filippi and Christopher Mies. It was just before the mandatory pit stop that Christopher Mies ran out of track and ran into the gravel, and lost momentum and lost a number of places as well. That handed everything at that point to the Callaway Competition Corvette. But of course, we have seen what has happened to that car of Jules Gounon and Daniel Kvyat. And there the tyres being replaced now to go in front of that barrier. Marshalling team doing a great job here, but of course everyone, the first efforts are towards the well-being of Jules Gounon, who's being cared for in the medical centre right now. Getting him out of the car, well, it took a very, very long time indeed, but quite rightly so, because wanted to make sure that no further problems occurred by in terms of how he was got out of the car. So barriers back in position, tyre wall now going in front of the barriers. So the repair team doing a good job in terms of getting the track back together once again. The race order prior to that was Renaud Engelhardt and David Yarn, with Nikolai Rogoview, Marvin Dienst, Philip Geipel, Remo Lips, Patrick Assenaya, and it was Marcus Pommer P9 and Connor De Filippi P10. And we cross to a camera down there on the grid right now as we look at the number 69 car there. Outgoing champions then in that Zach Speed Mercedes-Benz. Luca Ludwig and Sebastian Asch. Certainly hasn't been their season this season. The Bonaldi Motorsport Lamborghini Huracan then of Florian Spengler and Emanuele Zonzini. And there up on the jacks is the number 44 Michaela Arlen Kotelinski Pierre Kaffer Audi, which is run by Aust Motorsport. And there is Michaela Arlen Kotelinski, who, apart from GT racing, has also raced in Rallycross this year with some success. Talented young lady, Michaela Arlen Kotelinski. The number 28 car of Christopher Haas and Stefan Ortelli. So we have 10 minutes to the restart of the race. So that has been confirmed. Christopher Haas then preparing himself to get back into the car. So the race will resume in 10 minutes' time with presumably at this stage just 3 minutes and 6 seconds of race time remaining. So Christopher Haas then currently running in P15. And drivers then preparing to get back into the cars, knowing that they've got 10 minutes before the resumption of this race. So the incident that happened, which caused that really horrible crash, was under investigation, but no further action because it looked absolutely innocent, to be honest. It was just a tag between Jules Gounon and the Rolf Nijken Lamborghini Huracan, which caused that Corvette to start pirouetting and spinning and ended up into the barriers extraordinarily. Right, clock has been reset and we're going to have 15 minutes of racing. So it'll be final 15 minutes of racing once the race does resume. And there the conversations going on in the pit garages. So clock then being reset, we're going to get 15 minutes of race action before the checkered flag and the conclusion of ADAC GT Masters for 2016. So remaining race time confirmed as being 15 minutes. That has just come up on our message screen. And there we look at the Monteplas by Land Motorsport Audi of Christopher Mies and Connor De Filippi. Anxious time for the drivers, of course, who this race stoppage and the reasons for it, not desired at all. They're the ones that have had to sit down there and await what's going to happen. And now it has been confirmed that the race will resume with 15 minutes of race time to come around the Hockenheim circuit. And therefore bringing you images of various cars and the teams. Fantastic shot through the mirror there where we can see the Zach Speed Mercedes. So 14:25, which is just over 5 minutes away for the race to restart. Looking on board with the Sebastian Asch Zach Speed Mercedes-Benz. So 5 minutes remaining. The teams will gradually leave the grid and be down to the race officials then to get the restart underway, which will be behind the safety car. So the Dominic Schwager, Patrick Assenheimer car, also from Callaway competition, this Corvette C7 GT3 car, with Patrick Assenheimer in the driving seat, running in P8. So the view of the cars down there on the grid awaiting the restart of this race in about 3.5 minutes time, and it will run for 15 minutes before we get to the checkered flag, and the season for 2016 will be done and dusted, and the championship will be over. The ADAC GT Masters has once again provided us some fantastic GT racing during the course of the season, where we've been to Oschersleben, Sachsenring, Lausitzring, Red Bull Ring, Nürburgring, Zandvoort, and now here the finale at Hockenheim. So just over 2 minutes. Just under 3 minutes, whichever way you look at it, before the race resumes. And it'll be Robert Renauer, Rolf van Eycken, then the Porsche of David Jahn, Nikolai Rogevu in the Mercedes-Benz, Marvin Dienst in the Porsche, Philipp Geipel in the silver and green Audi, and then the very well performing Corvette Z06 of Remo Lips in car number 13 from the RWT racing team. So restart behind the safety car. Remaining race time 15 minutes. So just a couple of minutes now before the race resumes. All the information about the ADAC GT Masters, I urge you to check out the website at adac-gt-masters.de with full and total English translation on the website. A very, very good portal with lots and lots of information about the series, the cars, and the personalities that drive the cars, as well as we look at the Motoplast by Audi. Motoplast by Land Motorsport Audi. And just being informed that the only injury to Jules Gounon is a fractured or broken leg. Other than that, he is fine. Absolutely great to hear. Really, really pleased to hear that news. So there we have it. Broken or fractured leg for Jules Gounon. The only injury sustained from that impact. Thank goodness for that. Really, really good to hear. Whilst we don't wish anyone a broken or fractured leg, it's so much better than actually what it could have been, which reinforces the integrity of these cars that the ADAC GT Masters have on the package. 30 seconds away then from the race resuming. And we will have 15 minutes of race action. Restart behind the safety car is just 10 seconds away now as the ADAC GT Masters for season 2016 reaches its conclusion. So safety car leaves now, bang on time. And the rest of the cars file in behind. So thanks to my production team who were able to bring us that information on Jules Gounon. Really, really grateful for that. And of course, able to pass that on to you as well. So the clock has started already, and I'm assuming that the safety car will do just one lap, and then we will get back to racing. So drivers becoming more reacclimatized to their function now, having had quite a wait, whilst of course Jules Gounon was attended to and the car was recovered. But once again, what it's done is changed the face of this championship. I said right at the start of the program, if you wrote a book, it almost couldn't have been more thrilling going towards the final race, and well, been so much drama in the race as well. Just seen Christopher Mies run off the track and lose a big bunch of places. That therefore elevated the Corvette into the championship winning position, but then the Corvette tagging the Lamborghini Huracan, which you can see there in P3, the all-green Grasser racing team, and then absolutely flat out into the barriers. And there is Martin Raginger, watching all the monitors and all the screens. Robert Renauer out there in the car at the moment. So lights out on the safety car. So safety car is going to come in this lap, and we will go back to racing, and we're going to have about 12 and a half minutes of race action once they cross the timing line, I would suggest, before we get the checkered flag. Oh, that was interesting. The ADAC Motorsport Lamborghini just running out onto the gravel there momentarily. It's got back, as you can see, running behind the... that was Florian Spengler from P13. So my prediction wasn't far out then. 12 and a half minutes to go. It's Renauer, Renaike and Jan. Then it's Nikolai Silvestre, Marvin Dienst, Philip Geipel, Remo Lips, Patrick Assenheimer, Marcus Pommer, and then it's Connor De Filippi in P10. So up the inside of the Porsche goes the Nikolai Silvestre Mercedes-Benz, but he's pushed back. Now coming under pressure from the Porsche is the Lamborghini Huracan of Rolf and Eichen. They're absolutely side by side then as they head towards the hairpin. And through the hairpin they go. This is David Jahn then, teaming up with Kevin Estra. Rolf and Eichen and David Jahn absolutely side by side. David Jahn will have the inside and able to make that stick, and goes through to P2. And now up the inside of Rolf and Eichen goes the Nikolai Silvestre Mercedes-Benz, and Eichen comes back at Nikolai Silvestre now. But actually, there, the back end of the Lamborghini Huracan just got out of shape there as he tried to get back at the Mercedes-Benz, but it wasn't to be. So Renault leads from David Yarn in P2 now. Then it's the Mercedes-Benz of Nikolai Silvestre in P3, before Ralf van Eycken in the Lamborghini Huracan from the Grasser Racing team ahead of Marvin Dienst now. A very, very good race from the RWT Racing Corvette as well of Remo Lips, running in P7 currently. There is Philip Geipel, P6 in the Audi, shared with Rahal Frey and engineered by Yarko Racing. On board with Connor De Filippi then, as he chases down the Assenheimer car ahead. In the meantime, the other monoplast by Audi car suffering at the hands of the Bentley. P9 it is for Connor De Filippi. And Philip Geipel and the RWT Racing of Corvette of Remo Lips there side by side as they all go through the hairpin once again. Such a pinch point on this circuit. We've got under 10 minutes of race remaining. So through the incident which saw the out of the Callaway Competition Corvette. And there, the other Callaway Competition Corvette running in P8 is Patrick Assenheimer. Driving, of course, with Dominic Schwager across the season. Oh, trying to come back, the number 29 Audi of Connor De Filippi then. Currently running in P9, trying to get P8 and P7 away if at all possible. Whichever way you look, there is action going on, and the Bentley there lately making short work of the Benaldi Motorsport Lamborghini Huracan. So the Daniel Abt, Jordan Lee Pepper car. Jordan Lee Pepper at the wheel of that number 7 Bentley in this second half of the race. Moves himself up a further position. However, Renault is like a scalded cat up the road, as just been saying how well the RWT Racing Corvette has done, then runs really, really wide at the hairpin. Remo Lips at the wheel of that car rejoins the 29 car of Connor De Filippi, currently running in P9. Trying very hard to get the better of the Remo Lips car ahead, rejoining, of course, and lights being flashed furiously. Coming under pressure too is the car of Marcus Pommer. So Connor De Filippi on the inside of the Corvette goes through in the stadium section of the circuit, heading for the final 2 turns. And there the applause from the Land Motorsport crew. And now the Audis run out wide again as Corvette comes back. So Connor De Filippi back to P9. So on board with that monoplast by Land Motorsport Audi then. Oh, there was just a little bit of a love tap there between the two of them, wasn't there? Remo Lips having a real go in that Corvette against the Audi of Connor De Filippi, seeing that in replay. 6 3/4 minutes left on the clock for this ADAC GT Masters race. Now, this was where Connor De Filippi went up the inside, around the Sachs curve. And Remo Lips thought, yeah, okay, I'm going to come back at you through the first part of the Schudkurve up the inside of Connor De Filippi. Bosch, a little bit of a tap between the two of them, and through he goes. So Connor De Filippi's got to do it all over again. Incidentally, the black and white flag has been shown to car number 13 for slightly forceful driving. Well, that little battle between the two of them continues now. And here comes Connor De Filippi. This is take 2, but actually this time wasn't far enough alongside the Corvette to make the overtake stick. So will he have a go around the should curve now? Yes, he does, and gets the inside line and is able to go through. So Connor De Filippi then, for the second time of asking, does manage to get through, and cue another round of applause from the team in the garages. But Remo Lips is coming back. This is turning out into being the real ding-dong battle between the two of them here. Robert Renard is leading by some 4.5 seconds. He's up the road like a scalded cat. Meantime, Jordan Lee Pepper is having a real go in the Bentley as well. And just got past Marcus Palmer, so Jordan Lee Pepper will be joining in this little trio in a moment, or what will become a little trio. So Lips now right alongside Connor De Filippi. Connor De Filippi going to have the inside though, but it's whether Remo Lips can keep the momentum on through and get the little switch back here as he tries it. And if he's got the inside line now, this is going to deny Connor De Filippi once again. What about this? Whoa, and there was a little touch between the two of them. Well, there's been excitement all the way through this race, and it hasn't stopped yet. And now, joining in the battle is Jordan Lee Pepper in the Bentley. So there was the little touch between the two of them. Not sure there wasn't a further little touch going into this turn. No, yes, a couple of little touches there. There is Kevin Estros looking on and can hardly believe what he's seeing. Hope you can't lip read. That might have been a swear word. Apologies for that. And all of a sudden, Jordan Lee Pepper has managed to get past the Corvette. Hopefully we'll see that in replay, because all of a sudden both the Audi and the Bentley have got past the Corvette. So whether there was an error there from Remo Lips or not, I don't know. But Connor De Filippi is going to be pushed all the way now by Jordan Lee Pepper in that Abda Racing Bentley. And you can see him flashing his lights, trying to unsettle the driver ahead. It was Daniel Abt that drove the car in the first stint of the race, and we're looking backwards from the Connor De Filippi car now at Jordan Lee Pepper. Heavy braking into the hairpin. Jordan Lee Pepper gives it a footful now, but he's not quite able to get alongside the Connor De Filippi car. So, right, let's take a look here. So Jordan Lee Pepper then really dived to the inside, didn't he? And almost caught Remo Lips off guard and went through. It was a phenomenal overtake from Jordan Lee Pepper. Very, very talented South African racer. So Connor De Filippi then is running in P8. Jordan Lee Pepper is P9. Robert Renard is, well, he's so far ahead, he's almost in Frankfurt. He's got 5 seconds margin over David Jan, who is running in P2. And we have 2.5 minutes of the race remaining. So there, the Monoplast by Land Motorsport Audi then rounds the Sud curve up and heads to break the timing beam on the timing line there. Some 14 seconds down on the race leader, Robert Renard. He and Robert Ragginger having done a great job out front in the Porsche. And meantime, Jordan Lee Pepper, he's not happy with P9. There's Christopher Mees heading towards the pit perch then. Connor De Filippi then leading the Bentley of Jordan Lee Pepper for that battle for P8 at the moment. So the leading car you can just see disappearing from the top of your screen now. In the meantime, we rejoin this battle for P8. Connor De Filippi taking the middle line through that hairpin, which protects his position. So there we put the rev counter graphics up there as well, so you can see the revs, the speed as well. A phenomenal rate of acceleration in the Audi, up to 138, 150, 160, 70, 80 kilometers per hour. Just breaking the 200 kilometers per hour before they go into that turn. Absolutely extraordinarily powerful car. And in the Land Motorsport garage, there is Christopher Mies then hanging on to the side of the pit garage. Just 30 seconds of this race left. We are on the final lap of the final race of the ADAC GT Masters for 2016. And there is Connor De Filippi, who has one more lap to do in P8 and try and resist the overtake of Jordan Lee Pepper, who is pushing hard in P9 in the Bentley behind. And there, look at the anxiety in the Land Motorsport garages as Connor De Filippi then spent much of his life racing in America. Hugely successful racer, heading towards the hairpin now, being hounded all the while by the Bentley of Jordan Lee Pepper. So Connor De Filippi rounds the hairpin. In the meantime, let's not lose sight of the fact that Robert Renauer is doing a fantastic job here as he comes into the stadium section, and barring any mechanical failure, could very nearly coast that car to the checkered flag. He is so far ahead of David Yarn in P2. So Robert Renauer then and Martin Ragginger, what a great job they've done out in that Precoat Herbert Motorsport Porsche 911 GT3R. And the final race of 2016, the win will go the way of Robert Renauer and Martin Ragginger. They take the checkered flag. To take P2, it's going to be David Yarn and Kevin Estre, and Nikolai Sylvestre and Nikolai Rogevu doing a fine job to take P3. In the meantime, though, here comes Connor De Filippi, who will cross the line P8 and become 2016 ADAC GT Masters champion. Connor De Filippi and Christopher Mies. Oh, look at the emotions down there in the garage, and look at the donuts from Connor De Filippi. What about that victory for the Land Motorsport team? And in truth, it didn't look like it was going to go that way. But so many curveballs have been thrown into this. So there, the Audi making its way back to the what will be a very, very lively podium around the Parabolica. Now heads the car, the championship-winning car of Connor De Filippi and Christopher Mies. Race win goes the way of Porsche and Robert Renauer and Martin Ragginger, followed by David Yarn and Kevin Estre. Nikolai Sylvestre and Nikolai Rogevu taking P3, but Connor De Filippi and Christopher Mies, who came into the final race on 164 points, have done enough to seal the 2016 ADAC GT Masters Championship. Well, Connor De Filippi now taking it nice and easy, but just wonder as he heads into the stadium section of the track whether he'll give us a few more celebratory donuts. Still more racing to come here this weekend as well. So the car now making its way into the stadium section. Let's just keep an eye on this, because when Connor De Filippi gets in front of the crowd there, I just wonder whether he'll give us a few more donuts. takes me back to the year that Pascal Wehrlein won the DTM, and he did some donuts and then ended up beaching the car on the curb, and he couldn't get the car off the curb, which was just a trifle embarrassing. But hey, going on to have a fantastic career in Formula One racing now, Pascal Wehrlein, of course. But Conor De Filippi chooses not to stop at the Sachs curve for more donuts. Will he around the should curve? We're looking from our commentary position. No, he's brought it into the pit lane. So there we have it. Martin Raginger then and Robert Rennen have won the race and done a great job. So too David Jan and Kevin Estre, P2. Nikolai Sylvestre and Nikolai Rogevu will take P3 on the podium. The championship does go the way of Conor De Filippi and Christopher Mies. So on board the Conor De Filippi car. Championship winning car, of course. Allowed to park up ahead of the race winning 1, 2, 3. Team down there making sure that it's put in exactly the right place. It's critical, you see, that the car is parked exactly right. And it will be. You can imagine Conor De Filippi inside that car saying, look, for goodness sake, guys, all I want to do is get out of the car. Surely no, I'm moving it again. Oh, bless. Oh, are we happy with that now? No. There's Christopher Mies saying, I don't get where you put the car. He puts the baseball cap on. Champion. Yeah, you can breathe a sigh of relief because he knows that it wasn't always looking that way. That was Conor De Filippi then expressing his delight as once again the car was moved just a little bit. In the meantime, race winners congratulating championship winners. That's nice to see. And Conor De Filippi does at last get out of the car. Now, is he going to embrace Christopher Mies or is he going to give him a welt for very nearly taking the car off the track? No, he does embrace. They have done it. Conor De Filippi doing a fine job in the second stint of the race. Christopher Mies, bar one error, doing a great job in the first part of the race. Congratulated there by David Jan. As they'll be heading off to the podium now for the 1, 2, 3 in the race. And well, Conor De Filippi and Christopher Mies down there with the championship winning car. Well, as we heard from our production team earlier, it's only right to bring you that information again that Jules Gounon, who suffered in that really, really horrible crash that we saw earlier on in the race, has suffered a fractured or broken leg. That is the extent of his injuries. Other than that, he's perfectly okay, which we are so, so thankful to hear that. Right, so drivers all heading up to the podium. We've got an ADAC Formula 4 race to come as well. Oh, the action is non-stop here, isn't it? It's non-stop entertainment. ADAC Formula 4 to come, but before that, of course, we've got the podium for the ADAC GT Masters and the crowning of the new champion, Conor De Filippi and Christopher Mies. So we will see that in just moments from now. As you can imagine, it's just taking a little bit of time behind the podium before they can get everything together to bring the race winners out onto the track, and then of course, the champions down there at the bottom of the podium as well. The new champions, Christopher Mies and Conor De Filippi. And then, as if that were not enough, the fantastic single-seater series, the ADAC Formula 4, where, of course, Joey Mawson was crowned champion yesterday. But there you can see the relief almost on the face of Connor De Filippi, who has taken the championship. And it so didn't look like it was going to happen. But they have done it, and they came into this race as championship leaders. They've had a fantastic, phenomenal season, and they came in with the biggest points haul, and they actually go away from Hockenheim as 2016 ADAC GT Masters champions. You have to feel for Daniel Karvitz and Jules Gounon, though, because they drove it so very close, and were it not for that really horrible accident that we saw, who knows, it might have been a different story that we would see up there on the podium. So there is Christopher Mies. Now, he knows that he very nearly threw it away, as we watched him just run wide just prior to the pit stop, but he did managed to save it from there. He lost a number of places, but hey, it matters not. Let's celebrate the fact that Connor De Filippi and Christopher Mies are champions for 2016 in the ADAC GT Masters. Just saw Herman Tomczyk, the sport president of the ADAC, making his way down there as well, because he'll be part of that presentation. Of course, we have the race winning podium to be done as well. Land Motorsport, of course, the championship car engineered by them. And look how busy the pit lane is, as they all want to congratulate the 2016 champions. So here is the race classification then. It's Renaud and Raginger taking the win from Jan and Estra, Sylvestre and Regevu. Then it was Anaken and Engelhardt and Deanston, Zanella, Geipel, Rahal, Frey, Assenheimer, Schweger, Connor De Filippi, Christopher Mies. P8 was enough. Then we saw Jordan Lee Pepper and Daniel Apton, Remo Lips and Sven Barton. The rest of the order you can see on screen. All the information, I urge you to check out the ADAC GT Masters website with full and comprehensive English translation as well. It's adac-gt-masters.de. Do check it out. As the championship celebrations down there. And first with the bubbly was Christopher Mies, who slightly beat Connor De Filippi in terms of getting the cork out of the bottle. It matters not. They are champions for 2016. Connor De Filippi and Christopher Mies. Well, big old slugger that is deserved, my friend, for the drama that you have created during the course of the season. And, well, it was certainly very dramatic right at the end of the race as well. Had absolutely no idea which way the championship was going to go up until really the pit window opened at 25 minutes. And that was when Mies just ran the car wide out onto the gravel. So everyone assembling there for photographs. So the 2016 champions being crowned there. So ADAC Sport President Herman Tomczyk then makes the trophy presentation to Connor De Filippi and Christopher Mies, and congratulates just about every member of the Land Motorsport team. Motoplast by Land Motorsports, having engineered that race-winning and championship-winning Audi R8 LMS. So they'll place the #1 plaques atop the car, I'm sure. And the music plays out, and could only be Queen, We Are the Champions, couldn't it? So then the drivers enjoying their moment. Well, it's going to be a year of success. It's not the most tuneful rendition of Queen's We Are the Champions I've ever heard in my life, it has to be said, but they can't be denied for enjoying the moment. The 2016 ADAC GT Masters champions then, Connor De Filippi and Christopher Mies. And atop the car, steady on, chap. Oh, well done, gentlemen. So there they have it then. Champions for 2016. Another phenomenal season of GT racing from the ADAC GT Masters. That's for sure. And now it's getting down is going to be the issue, isn't it? Whoop, I think our cameraman tripped over then. So there, just look how many people down there in the pit lane to enjoy that championship celebrations going on. And now, of course, the interviews and Wolfgang Land being interviewed as we speak. And there, the two drivers, Connor De Filippi and Christopher Mies. Connor De Filippi and Christopher Mies, then champions for 2016. And as this is all going on, the grid is assembling for the ADAC Formula 4 race. 30 minutes of single-seater race action to come from the ADAC Formula 4 cars. And just to repeat that Jules Gounon, who we saw in that horrible crash into the barriers, back to the medical centre. It is a fractured or broken leg, the only injury that he has sustained, which is fantastic news that our production team bringing us that information much, much earlier on. So just want to pass that info on once again. That's a great shot of our championship winning drivers then, Christopher Mies and Connor De Filippi. 29 Land champion 2016. There, the final classification in the points then. De Filippi and Mies, P1, David Yarn, P2. Then it was Daniel Carvetz and Jules Gounon with Kevin Estra, P4. Then Renat and Raginger taking P5 in the championship. Brilliant in that the championship ran all the way to the very last round of the season, which of course is the way that we would always want it to happen. To generate as much excitement as possible and drama as possible, and it went right to the final race as well. And, well, it couldn't have been a more dramatic race, I don't think, if you'd have tried. So, outgoing champions, Luca Ludwig, Sebastian Asch finished the year then P6 in the championship, as you can see. So, just wondering whether we are going to get the actual race podium, because, of course, as you can imagine, all the focus has been on the championship podium. To some music now, here come the highlights. So there we have it then. 2016 ADAC GT Masters champions are crowned. And they are Connor De Filippi and Christopher Mees, bringing to a close what has been a phenomenal season. We look forward to seeing you for more fantastic ADAC GT Masters race action in 2017.
Und natürlich für das erfolgreiche Team Michael Rüß mit aufs Podium für das Team ADAC Motorsport. So stehen sie da und zu Ehren der Sieger die deutsche Nationalhymne. Und jetzt gibt es die wohlverdienten Pokal und jährlich durchgeführt für die Sieger von Wolfgang Wagner Sachse, den Vizepräsidenten des Deutschen Motorsportbundes und die Sieger. Sie kommen vom ADAC Motorsport und sie heißen Rosenauer und Martin Wagner. Und mit den Pokalen für die Zweitplatzierte. Und hier sagen wir ganz herzlichen Glückwunsch an Kevin Estrin und an David Jan. Jan Richter, Mitglied der Geschäftsführung des ADAC mit dem Pokal für die Drittplatzierten. Und das sind Nikolai Rollin vom Team AMG, dort die Junioren vom Team Taxi. Herzlichen Glückwunsch! Und der Großclub Brand Manager von Septima mit der wohlverdienten für das erfolgreiche Team. Herzlichen Glückwunsch, ADAC Motorsport! Tja, was soll man sagen, außer Sieger ganz fokussiert, was ist mit der Disziplin? Oh, jetzt kommen wir mal auf die Disziplin.